What's up guys, welcome back once again to the reviews. Today I've got a review of an SSD. I've never done one of these before. This is my first time doing it, and this one is from Solidigm. I think that's how you pronounce it. Apologies if I got it wrong. So I want to say massive thank you for them for sending this over, and they've also sent me one of their more budget oriented drives over as well. But today I'm going to be looking at this one and testing it. This is their P44 Plus. This is their sort of like enthusiast grade one. It's top of their sort of what they do at the moment, and this is a 2 terabyte P44 Pro. As you can tell, the name suggests it is sort of a very high-end model. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the specs first before I get into obviously installing and testing it. I do need to build my upgrade system first before I actually test it. But I'm just going to talk to you about sort of the specs of it first before we get into any more sort of talk about it. So the main specs of this, this one is the 2 terabyte version. It does also come in a 1 terabyte and a 512 as well. So there is a variety of them available. Like I say, I've got the 2 terabyte version. So let's talk about the specs of it. So the random read is 1.4 million IOPS in 4K blocks. The random write is 1.3 million IOPS. So again, it's really high specification. The power when it's active is 7.5 watts and idle is 50 milliwatts. And then the main figures that you're going to be interested in is the sequential reads and writes. So the sequential read is up to 7,000 megabytes per second, and the sequential write is up to 6,500 megabytes per second. This is a Gen 4 M.2, so this obviously is really high speed. Up to 7,000 is massive. I'll say, as well as the performance sort of specifications, you're going to want to know about sort of the reliability of it, and is this going to last you long enough. They give you a 5-year warranty as standard, which is great, and their endurance rating over the lifetime of writes is 1,200 terabytes written, and the mean time between failures is greater than or equal to 1.6 million hours. So they're the main specs of the SSD. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install it into my brand new AM5 system, which I'm actually going to be building first. I will be doing a video on that as well for you to see. So I'm going to build into that. I'm also going to put in their lower end M.2 that they sent me as well, and we'll be doing some testing on that in a future video. But first of all, we're going to cover this one and see how this performs. So stick with me guys, and we'll get into some performance results, and we'll let you know just how well it performs. And I'm expecting big things from this. It does look like an absolutely great product. So stick with me guys and let's get into it. Just going to talk a little bit about the setup specification that we've got here. So I'm using, as you can probably see, it's a bit of a mess at the moment here. I'm using my new system, which isn't complete yet, but it is complete enough to do these tests. I've got the B650E-E from Asus, the Strix board. So it's a relatively high-end B650E board. I have 32 gigabytes of Kingston Fury Beast RGB at 5200, but overclocked to 5600, and I'm using the 7900X in the socket as well. So decent platform to be testing it on. So I just want to talk over that before I got into the results. Right, first things first, I apologise from the start of the video. I called it Solidigm. I believe it's pronounced Solidigm, so sorry for that. Hopefully I've got it right this time. So we've got the Solidigm P44 Pro installed, and I've been doing some testing on it. I've done crystal disk mark, and I've also done 3D mark storage test. As my channel is based around gaming, I thought it'd be a good idea to include that, so you can see sort of a real world situations, how it performs. So I've included that. Like I said, I've done crystal disk mark, which gives you a general overview of the full performance potential of this SSD. And first of all, just want to say it's absolutely brilliant. It's so quick. It's the fastest one I've ever tested, because I've been on Gen 3 for the past however long. It's the first time I'm going into Gen 4. So the speeds are absolutely incredible, and my system feels really snappy. Not that it was slow before, but it does feel really good. So let's talk about a bit of the performance evaluation of this product, and so you can decide whether it is you want to look at buying one or not. So we'll get into that. So first of all, crystal disk mark. I did a first run, 5 passes, 1 gigabyte files at the default settings, And as you can see from the screen, sequential read and write, read 7,243 and write 6,524. Now this drive's rated for 7,000 and 6,500. So as you can see, it's actually above the rated speed that they give you. So it's performing over its what you'd expect, which is absolutely amazing to see. Then we've also got sequential read and write Q1 T1, so a shorter queue, and we're looking at 6,092 and 5317. So again, absolutely great performance. Obviously the top result is going to be your maximum performance you're getting out of this, and obviously this is a bit of a synthetic benchmark, but it gives you an idea of the speeds that you should expect. And then we'll talk about random read and write, which again is probably more of a real world situation of how this is going to perform. So your random 4K Q32 T1, and we've got a read of 868 megabytes per second and a write of 567 megabytes per second. So as you can see, again, absolutely rapid, really quick. And then lastly, we've got the random 4K Q1 T1 of a read of 72 and a write of 258. If you need to know more about what these numbers all mean, then go on our Crystal Disk Mark's website, and that explains sort of what they all mean and what we're testing, or just Google what this means and you'll get sort of a better idea as to what you're actually looking at. We then went on to the testing for basically changed the settings to the NVMe settings, which introduces different testing, basically changes the queue depth and the threads that are being used. So it's not as real world, but it still shows you a massive potential of this drive. So let's quickly talk through it. Read and write sequential Q8T1. We've got a read of 7,370 and a write of 6,716. Again, massively over what's stated, so absolutely brilliant to see. And then sequential 128K. We've got a Q32 T1. We've got a read of 7,281 and a write of 6,636. And random 4K, we've got 5,566 and write 4,287, and then random 4K again for Q1 T1, we've got 75 and 310. So performance results, as you can see, is absolutely rapid. I think it is probably one of the fastest out there on the market. I will talk in a minute a little bit about it, comparing it to other drives. I don't have any other Gen 4 drives to test it against. I'll give you a quick test to show you how it performed against my ADATA Gen 3 drive. That's SX 1800 or 1200 or something like that. Basically one of their top ones, Gen 3. Just so you can get an idea of the speed difference between Gen 3 and Gen 4, which probably most of you already know anyway, but we'll just talk about that. And also I have some data that I pulled from 3DMark's website in terms of comparing it to other drives that you will have heard of. So first of all, let's get into gaming storage benchmarks. So we'll quickly talk about the ADATA pass, just so you can get an idea of sort of what Gen 3 looks like. We've got a score of 2,422, so it's the SX 8200. And as you can see, an average bandwidth for 419.77 megabytes per second with 75 nanoseconds average access time. And you can see the other results there for what it did, basically what the results ran on 3DMark for the storage benchmark, to give you an idea. And then now we'll take a look at the results for the Solidigm. And you can see we've got a score of 3,333. So almost 1,000 points more, which is obviously to be expected because it's a much faster drive. And you can see we've got an average bandwidth of 572 and an average access time of 54 nanoseconds. So you can see it's much faster for gaming. So this test basically does moving a game, recording a game, loading games, and installing games and saving games. So it gives you a real world result as to how it performed for gaming. So as you can see, it looks absolutely fantastic and performs really well. Now, so you've seen the gaming performance versus the Gen 3. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I've pulled from the internet. Like I said, I don't have these drives to test, so I've just pulled it from the internet. So these results may vary, but I'll put these up on the screen so you can just see and you can have an idea of how well this performs in the rest of the field, basically. So looking at this is pulled directly from 3D Mark's website. So they've obviously done the testing themselves. So it should be very accurate, as they've done it themselves. So why would they lie about it? So as you can see on the screen, the Intel Optane drive is the fastest on here, 280 gig 900p, and that's actually a PCI Express 3 M.2. I don't know why this is so high. It's obviously because of Intel Optane. And this is a 3D Mark storage benchmark of 4,241, so around 900 points ahead of where we are with the Solidigm. But if you then go down to the Samsung SSD 980 Pro 500 gig, which is a PCI Express 4 M.2, you can see this came in at 2,854. So you see the Solidigm handily beat this without a problem at all. And then obviously you can see the WD black, and you can also see a SATA hard drive on there, SATA SSD on there as well, for a reference of the speed differences you're going to be getting. So as you can see, it performs really well. So there we go. As you can see, that's all the test results I have. If you're looking at buying a new SSD and you want Gen 4, you want the high speeds you can get at the moment. Obviously there is Gen 5 coming out, well they probably are out somewhere, but there's not many of them about, and they're probably going to be crazy money. But if you're looking at a Gen 4, which is more than fast enough for most people, then definitely I can recommend this. Obviously they're not the cheapest, it is the Pro, it is their top tier product, so it's not going to be the cheapest. However, it's not the most expensive. I think this 2TB model I've got in here is about £200 in the UK, so probably around 200 US dollars, and probably around 200 euros in Europe, something like that. So it isn't astronomical price, and it is one of the best out there for sure from the results I've seen elsewhere on the internet. I've had a look round, and it performs absolutely brilliantly. Yeah. Obviously they do it in a 1TB and a 512 as well, which obviously bring the price down. If you're just looking for a fast boot device or something like that, you'll maybe not want a 2TB, but your speeds are faster on the 2TB. They do drop down a little bit to the on the 512. I think the write speed is 4,700 rather than 6,000. So obviously you are going to lose a bit of speed there. So bear that in mind if you're looking at this product. And that's it really, guys. Yeah, that's it. I have got a cheaper Solidigm drive coming that I have got it already, that I'm going to be testing very soon, which is also a Gen 4, but it's a slower one. It's one of the more entry-level ones, and it's a very reasonable price. So that one will be coming soon, so stick around for that. It's the P41 Plus. So if you're interested in storage, then obviously stick around for that video, and you'll be able to see how well that performs, and we'll compare it to this one as well, so you can see the real-world difference. So thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and give it a like or a dislike depending on how you feel, and leave me any comments in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.